Hello and welcome back. In this episode we're going to be taking a look at the Scaffold widget. This is arguably one of the most used widgets that you'll come across when you're developing your app in Flutter. As you can see, we have a home page with a build method, and this is currently just throwing an unimplemented error, as you'll notice in the emulator over here on the right hand side. So generally, when you have a page in Flutter, the first thing that you're going to want to return from the build method is more often than not the scaffold widget. It essentially creates a scaffold for the rest of the page to use. So what we're going to do is we're going to simply return scaffold, like so. And if we give that a hot restart, you'll notice that we now get rid of that error, and we have now a blank page. The Scaffold widget contains a number of properties. One of the most used properties is the app bar property, and this accepts an app bar widget, which we can set a title to home, like so. And as you'll notice, we now have an app bar present on our page. The other most common property in the Scaffold widget is the body property. This allows you to specify content to go inside the body of the page, which is this white space on our Android app. What we can do is give this a text widget and call it just Hello World. And you'll notice there we have some text in the body of the scaffold. There are also a number of other properties inside the Scaffold widget. As you can see here, you have the app bar, the body. You also have a floating action button, the floating action button's location. You can also create a drawer, a bottom sheet. You can modify the background colour, which as you can see at the moment is white. You can then also specify a number of other properties. To show you an example of how to use a floating action button, we will create a floating action button widget in the scaffold, and you'll notice the floating action button widget requires an on pressed, so we can specify on pressed as a simple callback, and we'll just print out the text Hello World for now. Once we've got that on pressed in there, we will specify the child to be an icon, and we'll just specify that to be a home icon for now. And you'll notice we now have a floating action button appearing on the scaffold. As I mentioned, the scaffold really is the base widget that forms the bare bones page for your Flutter application. Each one of your pages will often return a scaffold as the root widget inside the build method. And the scaffold really allows you to easily lay out your page with common UI elements such as an app bar, a body, a floating action button, a drawer, and much more. I hope you found this useful. Thank you very much for watching.